Hello, friends. A very, very good morning to you. I am sitting here in this lovely house of my dear friend. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Raj Shekhar, a doctor by profession and very passionate about using social media to reach out to people and to help people. And in that context, today I am here in this beautiful home of Aastha, a very dear friend of mine, who has been a friend of mine for the last, say, almost 5 years, and somebody who started her career as a teacher for business and accounting, and has moved out of that space to start, learned techniques of alternate health, Reiki, access bars, and now today we are going to talk about something very important. I think so, and I think she also thinks so, and I hope it makes a lot of sense to talk about this topic, which is called neuro-linguistic programming. It's a very formal term. It sounds very hi-fi, but I think when you listen to what Aastha has to say about this, you will realize that it's a fantastic area and a great thing to be in our lives. So I will just request Aastha to be here with us. She's here. Say hi, Aastha. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, Aastha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me.
My pleasure.
So, Aastha, can you just give us a brief about yourself, your
Sure.
work in?
So I've been doing like Dr. Raj said, and I met some of you via Facebook last time. So I've been on this journey of learning, adding more things to my life, which started honestly as my own personal journey for my own growth, my development. But because I got so much value from it, and I just enjoyed it so much. So it just so happened that I started sharing it with people, friends, and now I'm practicing regularly all these modalities. Recently, what I've started learning, in fact, I've just finished my learning and I'm progressing to be doing more courses, is something which really interested me, which is called NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, which emphasizes how language, because language plays a very important role in our everyday lives, and how we can use
Right.
it effectively to
Right.
make our lives more powerful, more empowered, more
Right.
workable, I
Right,
guess.
right. Fantastic. Very, important thing that we know what we are talking about,
Right.
especially even now when we are talking, whether I am
Absolutely.
delivering the right message to be more effective.
Right.
And I believe that actually the world around us is influencing us one way or the other.
Absolutely.
The-
You either influencing or you getting influenced.
Getting influence, yeah. So for example, the advertising industry, marketing industry, it is using this technique, is what I heard. So
Absolutely.
can you elaborate on that?
So NLP, so if I say NLP, it's actually neuro-linguistic programming. So so neuro is basically your brain, and linguistic is the language patterns that we use.
Right.
And the language patterns that we've been using,
Right.
not only with people but with ourselves, because most
Right.
of the time when we're talking to ourselves, that's
Mhm.
what's becoming our internal voice. So for
Right.
example, if I drop something and if I say so stupid, how could, I'm so clumsy.
Right.
So when I say how stupid, or what did I do, I'm so stupid. So every time I say I'm so stupid, that keeps going into my programming as
Right.
I'm so stupid. And then your brain starts believing that you are somebody who's clumsy, and then people tell you the same thing. So you get the same feedback from people, and you're like, yeah,
Okay.
I am so clumsy. So it kind of
Hmm.
becomes your reality, because
Right.
that's the language
Right.
that you've been talking to with yourself.
Right.
So when you change that language pattern, when you just make those little simple changes and be more aware of the words that you're using as your everyday life,
Mhm.
not just with your family, your friends, your
Hmm.
children,
Hmm.
yourself, there's a whole lot of shift that can happen in your lives.
Okay.
Um, and that's what changes the programming, the
Right.
brain programming of yours. So which
Right.
is where neuro linguistic programming comes into work.
Okay.
So like we were talking about companies using it, of course they're using it, because
Mhm.
every time they want you to buy something, every time a salesman In fact, I believe that most of the really cool salesmen are probably people who've done NLP or are using
Okay.
NLP as their part of their regular
Okay.
life, because that's one of the ways that they can use language to influence your thought, influence,
Right.
pace, guide you to buy something that probably you were confused about, but they will just make you believe that you really want it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has a powerful influence
Absolutely.
on how we take decisions in our lives.
Absolutely. How we make choices, how we get guided and led into
Okay.
doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. So which is what we can use to our the advantage. So if somebody is, let's say, your child doesn't want to do something, he doesn't want to do homework today. So how you can use language to not be authoritative, not be assertive. You have to be assertive, but not making him feel like, him or her feel like because he's doing it because you want him to do it, but how to pace him in such a way that he ends up believing that he wants to do it, and it's fun to do it, and so it becomes easier and less of a struggle, I would say, to get things done with kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you are a parent. You are a parent of a 10-year-old girl.
Yes, I am.
I have my own kids. I know it's been a struggle to make them do stuff.
Yes.
And especially as a parent, we are always keen that our children are disciplined.
Right.
That they learn the right stuff, they do the right stuff, and that's been a struggle. So we end up just telling them, okay, do this, otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying that we can use these methods which are taught here.
Absolutely.
To do that. So can you elaborate a little bit? How would you say influence a child?
So again, it's about language, like I was saying, right? So if I tell you right now that don't think of a black cat, what is the first thing that you think?
Black cat.
Don't think of an elephant. The minute you say don't whatever, that's the first thing you do. That's the first, because your subconscious is not programmed in a way to take a don't or a no.
Right.
So if you tell your child don't talk when food is in your mouth, invariably he'll be always talking with food in his mouth. But if you can change it by saying that, I'll understand you better once you finish the food in your mouth, that gives it's like an embedded command, but a positive language. So instead of I'm replacing don't, I'm still getting what I want, I'm still getting him to do what I want in a more effective way without using the word don't. So don't shout could be replaced with, it's too loud for this living room because the volume is high. So if you want to shout, why don't you just go to the park and shout there? So you can just change those things. Don't jump off the couch. Little things, when you change in your vocab, the way you're using language, you will see how smooth it's going with your kids, and you will realize, and that's my dog, that you will, it'll not be a struggle. It'll not be such an ego struggle between the child and you, and there'll be little things that you can shift with your kids to train them to think in a different way. And like they say, children mostly copy their parents. So not only are you getting them to do things in a better way, you're also empowering them to start using the same language, because they end up using the same language as their parents.
Correct.
So you, in a way, showing them techniques to make their life easier, going further.
I'm sure we don't have embedded commands for our dog here.
No, but it has to be language. Dogs understand commands, straight commands.
But I have been, I have personal experience as well. I have been able to use subtle messages, covert rather than overt. Make it a little embedded.
Absolutely.
And
throw those words more at kids. So if you want them to read more, instead of saying time to read, just surround them with books. Put some nice quotes about reading. So it's again working at a very
subliminal level.
Absolutely. And they just get it. They just, because it's always in their space, so they just kind of get that message.
Fantastic. Actually, a lot of people feel that all the advertisements and marketing techniques, they are basically manipulating our minds. So if we use this technique in our children, then we are manipulating them. But what is your take on that?
Well, that's a very interesting, manipulation itself is something which is a very interesting topic, because we've always been, we've grown up believing manipulation is wrong. Because if you're manipulative, then you are one, one vamp of a Hindi film drama who's getting her work done. Or a villain or whatever. So manipulation is always associated with bad people, wrong things. But if you look at the dictionary word of manipulation, it's basically being in a certain way to get things that you want or to get results that you want,
Right.
as long as the intent is not to harm the other person,
Correct. Correct.
which I'm sure is not with your children,
With the
and
children,
otherwise
yeah.
also.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
long as you can use your language to manipulate things in such a way that you can get results that you want. I think it's a fantastic thing. It's a fantastic, because you're getting manipulated by your kids anyways, right? One way or the other. They
Absolutely.
manipulate you into
You
buying
tell me.
things. They manipulate into
Yeah.
getting what they want.
Right.
So the task is how to, out-create their manipulation so that you can save your money, I would say.
Actually, I look at it as becoming more effective.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if I am out there talking to someone about whatever it is, it could be anything.
Right.
And invariably, we are in a position of either telling them something which is our viewpoint, my viewpoint.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trying to get them around to my viewpoint.
Correct.
It may not be that I end up making money out of it. It could be just
Absolutely.
creating a certain awareness, creating a little credibility for myself, or helping them in their health.
Yeah.
Right. So
Sure.
whatever I do, I know that if I can modify my language, I'll be more effective.
Absolutely.
Which is what I see as the value.
Yes,
we can
totally. Because it's all about language. It's the language that we use that can actually, and if you just practice that for a few days, like catch yourself when you're saying don't, and maybe figure out, or maybe like take 2 minutes to see what is the most often spoken sentences that you're using with your kids.
Right.
And see if you're using don't a lot, and if you can find a creative way to replace it with something else, and just practice it for a week's time probably, and you'll see you'll see the results in that time for you to be interested more in learning NLP, I would say, because that's fantastic if you can do that.
Really, I'm really very impressed. I've been learning all these. Especially the whole thing got triggered after I spoke to you, and I started reading up also, and I started using it also. And
Absolutely.
you're one of your first few students. I will be for sure to be an NLP practitioner. But I wanted to ask you if there is something you can illustrate, by a technique, how these are done and used.
So NLP has a lot of techniques. NLP works with a lot of areas. It can work with stuttering issues. It can work with fears. Public speaking, because all these fears are unnatural fears which are created out of like an experience, somebody else's experience. So it works with that. It works with building confidence. It works with strategizing your way to achieve something. There are different areas that it can work with. So depending upon what is it that the person wants to work on, there are different techniques that can be used in NLP which can equip them to get rid of a certain thing or to achieve certain things, I would say. Because when people come to you, they either want to get rid of something, a fear maybe, or they want to achieve something, like they want to be more confident, they want to be they want to go out there, meet people, go in public speaking. Depending on what they want to achieve, what we can work. And I've been working with people, and in just a matter of like one single session, which is, or one technique, panic attacks. I worked with somebody who used to get frequent panic attacks. And what we did was, so there's this technique called anchoring. So what you do is you just make this the way we work, and I can just explain it, and I can't really show you how it works, but you take them to that situation where they do feel panic attack, and then you go into the submodalities of how it feels here, what do they feel, where they feel. So make it very real for them, then make it really smaller, and then take it away from their in their mind's eye, how you work with them, and then you switch them to this feeling of, so the last time that they felt really calm, also whatever is the state that they want to be. So if somebody doesn't want to be panicked, they want to be calm. So what is it that they feel when they are calm, and take them to that time, moment, wherever, where they felt really calm and at peace and whatever. And when that feeling is completely accentuated, you just anchor in that feeling. So that's one of the NLP techniques, which if you will hear or read about NLP, it's really talked about, because you're anchoring that feeling, because your body remembers. So how you create fear or panic, it doesn't happen overnight. You learn to get there. You train your body to get into that panic situation. So you just retrain your body now to be calm. So you anchor that feeling either with a music or with a, you could just use this as an anchor. So when you are in that feeling which you want to be in, you just bring in that anchor. And then what happens is, next time when that person is by themselves, their body will just remember, associate that feeling with that particular music or that particular body posture that you did that time, or some place you touched them, like maybe like this on the elbow. That brings in back that entire feeling of calmness. Which we see actually, if you see in your day-to-day life, you know how when you, if whichever country that you're in, if you're sitting having pizza, whatever, having a good time, the minute you see your national flag, the minute you have that national anthem going, you have this feeling of, you know, overwhelming feeling of connection towards your country. Patriotism, you know, some people feel goosebumps when they listen to their national anthem. That is a super strong anchor which has been built in us. So that sound is the anchor for that patriotic feeling. So if it works there, which it works for most of us, if it was provided they had that connection, they grew up in the country where they heard national anthem over and over again. So of course, if that was the case and that was the anchor, then every time they'll be not in the country also and they'll hear their national anthem, they will get that feeling because it's associated to that song. Or in our lives, like I listen to a song when I'm on my date, and that song, it brings the romance, you know, that's the anchor.
So it's a trigger for that.
It's a trigger, it's an anchor. So when I listen to that song, I think of that evening. And I think I get all those feelings about how things were at that particular evening. So that's how NLP works. So that's one of the tricks, one of the techniques. And there are many, many more which you can use, which can be very handy. And not only do you work with the facilitator, but you actually can empower yourself to use that technique in your life, and you don't have to keep going back to use it for yourself.
Absolutely. So a lot of new stuff like anchors, triggers, connection, language, embedded commands, and then submodalities.
Totally, absolutely.
And there are a lot of other terms as well. Like
yes, it may sound very, but it's not that tricky. It just sounds like that. But when you practice it, it just becomes a part of your life. It's very easy to learn and use it and if you're willing to learn, which I'm sure people are because they want to make their life effective, I think it's a fantastic way to go forward.
There are a lot of tools which we can use to learn about it. Aastha is a practitioner of NLP, so really very nice to have you here sharing your experience. Do you have any take-home messages, something which you would say, okay, about this topic that we are talking on?
I would say that NLP is something which can be used as a strength with people cut across professions, ages. You can use it with kids, you can use it with your partners, you can use it with your at your workplace. So there is no such thing that if I'm a therapist I need NLP, or if I'm if I'm in sales, of course it will benefit sales. But then every day we're making a sale, right? Either we're selling an idea, either we're selling ourselves, either we're selling a product. Maybe we're just selling a holiday to our husbands. Why we need to go on a holiday?
I just heard that.
We just heard that conversation because I was in that thing. But then what I'm trying to say is that every point of time in the day that we're interacting with people, we are, like you said, we're either getting influenced or we are influencing people. NLP just makes it positive. It makes it more effective. So no matter what profession, doctors use it because it's very important to get the patient on your side before they start to work on them, because the language that doctors use can really influence the psyche of the patient when they start working with them. And I'm sure you're aware of that. So cut across professions. I think it's a very effective for your own self-growth, even if you don't want to use it as a profession, which I would be using. But even if you don't want to use it, and if you just use it, look at it as your own self-growth. In fact, yesterday I was telling my husband that if I would have, done it like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years back, there's so many stressful things that happened as Sana, my daughter was growing up, which I could have just avoided because there was such an easier way to just resolve the conflict.
Absolutely.
So whenever you get a chance, I would say, please go ahead. And if there's any more questions about where to do it from, how to go about it, you can always message me. You can always get in touch with me.
Fantastic. It's such a nice offer.
I'll be happy to help you with any of that.
We are sitting here in Aastha's home. So she is about to leave on the way to pick up her daughter. So
Have-
it's been a really good time that we had.
Thank you so
I
much.
really enjoyed
Yeah.
this whole discussion, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
this just is the starting point
Yeah.
for
I
all
don't know
these.
if there's any questions.
And if at the moment, I think this may be the time when
Yeah.
people are
Absolutely.
with other
At
things.
work.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sure people will come up with questions.
Absolutely. Feel free to write to me, or if there's anything else that you want to know about NLP, about how to go about it, if you're interested to learn anything at all that I can help you with. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
You're very
I'll wind it up here.
Sure.
So thanks a lot once
Thank you.
again.
Thank you
and
so
thanks
much.
for watching.
Thank
and
you.
We'll catch you up again once.
Yep.